You arrive at work with a clear plan, you know what needs doing, and then it starts. Your manager's already asking for an update before you've had time to open your laptop. They come over to check on something you finished yesterday. By lunchtime, you've spent more time explaining yourself than actually working, and you feel like you're about 6 years old. Working for a micromanager is exhausting, and the worst part, most people don't know how to make it stop. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's driving this behaviour, what it's really costing you and what you can do about it, whether you're the one being managed this way or you're starting to wonder if you might be doing it yourself. Stay with me because there's a point later in this video that most managers completely miss and it changes everything. People think they'll know a micromanager when they see one, and sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it creeps up on you so gradually that you don't realise what's happening until you're already feeling the effects. So let me give you a clear picture. A micromanager doesn't just set direction and let you work. They want to be involved in every step. They'll check in repeatedly on the same piece of work long after an update was needed. They'll rewrite your email or redo your report, not because it was wrong, but because it wasn't exactly how they would have done it. They change what they want mid-task and then question why you didn't anticipate the change. They resist delegating, and when they do hand something over, they hover. They'll pull work back before you've had a chance to finish it. And when things get pressured, the scrutiny intensifies, so the moments you most need to focus are exactly the moments the checking escalates. The result? Work slows down. You stop using your initiative because you've learned it won't be used anyway. You start second-guessing everything and you stop feeling like a professional who is trusted to do their job. And here's what makes this particularly difficult. Many micromanagers have no idea what they're doing. Or they know and they genuinely believe it's the right approach. Hold on to that because I'm coming back to it. Understanding the why is what separates a useful response from a reactive one. So let's go there. Micromanagement almost always comes from one of a few places. For some people, it's anxiety. They worry about things going wrong, about being judged, about losing control of outcomes they feel responsible for. Overseeing everything feels like the only way to manage that fear. For others, it comes from the transition to management. They were brilliant at the job, they got promoted, and nobody helped them make the shift from doing to leading. So they keep doing because that's where they feel competent. Letting go of the detail feels risky when you haven't found your footing in the bigger picture. Some micromanagers behave this way because of past experience. They delegated something and it went badly. They were caught out. So now they watch everything to make sure it never happens again. And occasionally, it comes down to control. Some people genuinely believe the only way to get the right outcome is to own every step. None of this excuses the behaviour. I want to be very clear about that, but it changes your starting point considerably. And here's the point I mentioned at the start that most managers miss entirely. When someone is micromanaging because of anxiety or because they've never been supported to lead differently, they are often genuinely unaware of the impact, which means a direct, calm conversation can actually work. That might sound obvious, but most people either say nothing or blow up. Neither of those tends to end well. Let's talk about what this actually costs, because it goes further than most people realise. Productivity suffers. When everything has to go through one person, work slows down, bottlenecks form, deadlines get missed, not because the team isn't capable, but because the team can't move without sign-off. Confidence takes a real hit. Being constantly second-guessed chips away at your belief in your own judgment. You start to doubt yourself. You stop offering ideas. You become cautious in a way that costs the team its best thinking. Then there's what I call the dependency cycle. When micromanagement continues long enough, team members stop developing the habit of independent thought. They wait to be told. They refer everything upwards. The manager ends up more overloaded than before, grips tighter, and the whole pattern feeds itself. The cost that's hardest to measure is trust. When people feel watched and not trusted, morale drops. And good people, the ones with options, start looking elsewhere. The manager wonders why they keep losing strong performers. By the time anyone notices what's happening, the best person on the team is already half out of the door. I've seen this play out more times than I can count. Before I get into what to actually do about this, if you're finding this useful, A like or a subscribe genuinely helps this content reach other managers and leaders who need it. Right, let's get into the practical side. I want to give you two separate approaches here because where you're sitting changes everything. If you're the one being micromanaged, the first thing to understand is that this is not a reflection of your competence. Being managed this way means your manager has a way of working that is getting in the way of both of you. Keep that distinction clearly in your mind. The most practical thing you can do is get ahead of their need for information. If they tend to check in before you've had a chance to update them, you check in first. Give progress updates before they're asked for. You're not rewarding the behaviour, you're reducing the friction while you work on the bigger issue. Clarify expectations at the start of every task. Ask what success looks like, what format works for them, and what the key decision points are. This gives both of you a shared reference and reduces the scope for constant redirection. When the time is right, have the direct conversation, not a complaint, not a confrontation. A calm professional conversation that focuses on the work. Something like, I want to make sure I'm delivering in a way that works for both of us. I find it harder to produce my best work when I'm being checked in on frequently, and I'd like to agree a way of working that gives me space to deliver while keeping you well informed. Focus on the work and the outcome, not their personality or their intentions. Timing matters here. Don't have this conversation when things are stressful or when there's been a specific incident. Choose a moment that's calm and planned. If you're watching this and wondering whether this might be you, that takes courage and it matters enormously. So let's be honest about it. Start by reflecting on what's driving it. Are you worried about outcomes, finding it hard to let go? Have you given your team the clarity and support they need to work independently, or are you filling gaps yourself because no one showed you how to do this differently? The shift from doing to leading is one of the hardest transitions in management. It doesn't happen automatically when you get the job title. It requires deliberate practice. Begin with small, real acts of delegation. Hand something over, agree on the outcome and the deadline, and then step back. Resist the urge to check in until the agreed point. And when they deliver, even if it's slightly different from how you would have done it, if the outcome is right, acknowledge that. That's a win for both of you. Gradually, as trust builds on both sides, you'll find you need to be involved less and less. Your time frees up, the team grows, and you start leading rather than doing 6 jobs at once. I want to be straight with you. Sometimes you have the conversation, you do everything right, and the behaviour doesn't change. The manager knows their style, they're not moving. In that case, you have decisions to make. You can manage the dynamic as well as you can, protect your own confidence, and document your contributions clearly. Some people do this well for a period, and it builds resilience. You can involve HR or a senior leader if the behaviour is significantly affecting your well-being or your ability to do the job. That is a legitimate step, and it should not feel like a failure to take it, or you look at your options. Staying in an environment that consistently undermines your confidence is not a neutral choice. You get to decide how long you invest in a situation that isn't changing. Let me bring this together quickly. Micromanagement slows work down, erodes confidence, and creates a dependency cycle that costs everyone. It usually comes from anxiety, a lack of transition support into leadership or experience, and it's rarely as deliberate as it feels when you're on the receiving end. If you're being micromanaged, communicate proactively. Set clear expectations and have the direct, calm conversation when the time is right. If you're the one doing it, get honest with yourself and start practicing real delegation one step at a time. Awareness is where change starts. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you worked with a micromanager, or looking back, have you caught yourself doing it? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone, and your answer might shape the next video in this series. If this was useful, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.